Hi, and welcome to this first in a series of tutorials on Google Docs. Now, as you can see, I've already logged into Google Drive and I'm ready to get started. And although it's possible to go directly to Docs to create a doc, I am going to recommend that as a matter of habit or workflow that you always start in Drive or whenever possible. And it just helps with the organizational process, and that's very important. It's very easy for this area to get cluttered and to have difficulty finding things as you start using the tools more and more. So to create a doc, I'll go to New, Google Docs. You can see that a new doc is created with the title Untitled Document. Now, something interesting about the Google environment that you won't find in a lot of other places is that if I were to go to create a second, third, fourth, fifth document, they might all be named Untitled Document. So I can have more than one document with the same name in the same space, which is something you wouldn't see in most other environments. The computer doesn't allow you to do it. But since Google is obviously tracking these documents in some other way, assigning some type of number or identifier that you can't see, it allows the title to be the same. Which I think is generally a negative. Anyway, when you first open it up, let's take a quick tour of the environment. You have your main menu across the top. We're going to be looking at a lot of these in detail, although we're not going to explore them by menu item, but more by concept. So in a lot of cases, these things are grouped by concept within the main menu items, but not entirely. So we'll look at them just a little differently in future videos. Secondly, you have your main formatting toolbar. And that's great. This is out here because this is something you're going to use most frequently. This link up in the corner, or this button up in the corner, would take you to Google Docs Home. And as I said, I'm going to discourage you from actually doing that. I think it's much better to work basically in Drive. Now, if I were to close this document at this moment, because I haven't done anything on it, it would not save. But the moment that I type even one character on the page, you can see the message comes up that it's saving. And now, if I close this document, it's available to me right there in Drive. So let me go back in. Now, I really don't want a document called Untitled Document because that doesn't give me very much information about what it is. So let's change this. And I can rename this document simply by coming into the upper left-hand corner, clicking on the title and renaming it at any time. So one good way to do it. Alternately, you can rename by clicking File and Rename. And that will just bring you right up to the same area. So it's really more efficient simply to click on the title in the upper left and then do your renaming there. It saves you a few clicks. As we noticed before, just to the right of the Help menu item, it's going to give you some information about when the document was last saved. Oop. It's in the wrong place there, so let me come back here. Say this is a test, and if you notice it's saving, saving, saving. All you have to do, of course, is wait until that's done and the document is saved. So there is actually no save option in the File menu as you would expect to see in other programs. In the upper right-hand corner, we have a few things. The first is your basic login information, so you can see that I'm logged in this particular account. Although it knows that I have this particular account, I could also add accounts and change between accounts, or I could sign out directly from here if I wanted to. There's a share button, which we've gone into in another video in Google Drive. So because this is a common element amongst a lot of the Google tools, Sheets, Docs, Slides, etc., and it works the same way. So we really dealt with how to share in a Google Drive video, and if you want to know how to use that, that's where you should go to revisit that video. There's also a button for comments, and when you click on this, there are two options. The first is notifications. Now, a notification is a little message that will pop up on your screen, and a number of different things can trigger it. If you've shared this with someone else and perhaps they've done edits, you can be notified of that. So if you want to have notifications, you simply set that to all, or you can also choose only my own notifications or none. But basically it's going to, as you're working, as long as you're logged into this Google account, you're going to see things pop up on the screen. It could be something from a Google Doc, or it could also be something from say Google Calendar, or a number of other things. Also, in order to use comments, the best way to use comments, and not completely necessary, but the best way is to highlight something. Because if you highlight something and then come to comments and add a comment, not only does the comment appear over on the right, but if I come into this document and I click on the highlighted area, you can see it moves to the front. Kind of becomes emphasized. Now that may not seem that important, but if I had more text in this document, let me get that now, and there were multiple comments, so this word has a comment, this word has a comment, this word has a comment. I can vaguely see which comment applies to which text by their order, by their sequence, but by clicking here directly on the highlighted area that's associated with the comment will come forward and I'll be able to tell what it means. Also, if I'm looking at these comments and this one is particularly interesting, or something I want to focus on right now, and I don't see it, you know, I'm not sure exactly what it applies to over here. Alternately, I can click on the comment itself, and that will make the highlight a slightly darker color so you can tell exactly what that comment is associated with. Notice also that there is a reply box, so as someone reads your comment, they can reply. And then you can have a reply to the reply, so a conversation can take place regarding a particular part of your document. If you no longer want to see the comment, you can resolve it. Now when I come back into comments, you can see that they're all listed here, including the one that was resolved, and I can choose to reopen that and put it back into the main stream of the document if I choose. So resolving it will hide it from this area, but you always have the option to go in and to reinstate it into the document. Other options for comments are editing, so I can change something that I've previously written, especially if I notice right after I've written it maybe there's a typo or there's something wrong with it. Generally, it's not a good idea to revise comments in an ongoing discussion unless they're very minor edits. I can delete it altogether, so I can just remove it. I can say that this was unimportant really, although as I said, once there's a discussion going on, it's not a good idea to delete them. It's a good idea to leave that as a record of the discussion that actually occurred. And the last thing you can do, or the last option you have here, is to link to this comment. So you can actually get a link to that comment and that would just open the document with a comment forward. So if you were trying to call someone's attention to a particular comment in a particular document, and especially if the document was something that was long. If this was a 30-page document, that I was working on with somebody else, it's possible that I would grab that link and send it to someone so I could draw their attention immediately to what I wanted to speak to them about. Okay, let me close that since that's an alternate version or duplicate version. Also in this section of the page you have these double arrows pointing up. Clicking on them simply collapses part of the menu structure to give you a little bit more room. Clicking it again when they're down arrows will bring back this top area of the document. So if you're really trying to get every inch of space out of something so you can work, you can temporarily close that down. Last thing I want to call your attention to in this area is this drop down. Now this drop down allows you to switch modes. So by default you're going to be in editing mode where you can type and you can work, but it's not the only mode that's available. There's a mode called suggesting, and when I'm in suggesting mode, we can add suggestions, so it doesn't become part of the document itself, but rather a suggestion. Notice that it's treated very much like a comment. It's just formatted differently and is located in the body of the text, although it is not part of the body of the text. It's only a suggestion. So I can come in here and click this to reject it, and it's gone. However, I could also come in and accept the suggestion, and then it will become part of the body of the document. Let me try one more thing. Additional options for suggestions would be to either delete it altogether, or to link to it, or create a link to it, I'm sorry, or someone could reply to it. And you can see that a reply to a suggestion is not a suggestion in and of itself. So it does not become available to the body of a document. It's simply a discussion related to this suggestion. So let me add one more suggestion. And when you're done with your suggestions, you can simply switch back to editing mode. And you can see that at that point, when you're not selected, it will be grayed out. It will be lighter. Not grayed out exactly, but it'll be a lighter color, and it'll show you that there is a suggestion there. If you do want to work with that suggestion, if I click on it, I can still accept or reject it. So once the suggestion is made, I don't need to remain in suggesting mode necessarily to work with that suggestion. Okay. The third and final option is the viewing. So this is to read or print, and it's showing you the best version of what it's going to look like. At this point, I can't type. There's nothing I can do to the document. All I can do is look at it. One last thing I'd like to call your attention to is in the lower right hand corner is a button that's titled Explore when you mouse over it. And if you click it, it's going to open up this Explore pane to give you access to searching the internet and your Google Drive for things that may relate to your document. Now, that's also accessible from Tools Explorer, and we're going to come back and look at this tool in a lot greater depth when we do a tutorial devoted to research and research tools available in Google Docs. But I just wanted to let you know that that was there. One thing you will notice in the Google environment is because they are modifying and upgrading this, you may come in tomorrow or the next day and there may be an additional item somewhere. This, to my knowledge, I hadn't noticed it too long ago, so this, to my knowledge, is relatively new. This environment does change regularly. So that concludes this tutorial.